So I'm sure, as you all can imagine, safety is paramount in my industry. It's our job as technicians to make your flight as safe and enjoyable as possible. And one of the many ways we do that is through a method called safety wiring. Safety wiring, in essence, is taking a fastener, whether it be an electrical plug or a bolt or a screw or a nut, and tightening it down to its specified torque, and then you're essentially taking some wire, stainless steel wire, as seen here, and you are wrapping it around the plug or the bolt or the nut, and you're anchoring it to either another bolt, another nut, or somewhere on the aircraft. You're basically anchoring it down so it can't loosen and work its way out. During flight, the airplane goes through a lot of vibrations, and if something crucial is not safetied, over time that vibration can actually spin that nut or bolt out or that plug out, and it could break or disconnect, and you could run into some real problems if that happens. So safety wiring is extremely important. There's a couple different ways to do it. As you can see by these pictures, there's a couple different methods depending on what kind of nut or bolt you have, but they're all the same principle. You're putting the wire through holes on the bolt or nut, and you're twisting it. That increases the tensile strength. It basically means it's not going to pull apart and snap as easily. So you're twisting it, and you're anchoring it to other nuts in a way so that it can't loosen. I'll reference back to this picture. If you look at this picture, the way the wire is coming here, it's making like an S shape. So you can see with the picture, if this bolt goes to loosen, the wire is actually going to pull this bolt tight and vice versa. So if one bolt is trying to loosen, the safety wire's job is to make it so it's either tightening something else, or if it's anchored to the aircraft that's not going to go anywhere, that it's just keeping that object from moving. So you can do this by hand. A lot of people still do it by hand. The old guys, they think it's a better method. Sometimes it's the only way you can do it. There's a lot of confined areas you're doing this in, but tool were invented for a reason. These are safety wire pliers. Basically, their basic layout is they have a jaw up top that goes over the wire. This piece in here is a lock, so that locks down when you have it on the wire. And this is a pivot. This like has like a spindle on it. So as you're pulling this, I'll demonstrate for you. As you're pulling this, it'll actually twist the wire. So I have a board here that I just put a couple bolts through that have holes for safety wire. I'm going to do my best to demonstrate a basic way that we do this. So let's get right to it. So first thing you want to do is get a length of wire. More is better. This is probably a lot more than I need, but I can always cut it off at the end. So first you want to straighten out your wire. I want to make sure I am in the shot here. So first thing you want to do is you want to look at your bolt. So I want to put this in here in a way that it's going to want to turn left to loosen. So I'm going to put this right about here. So you're going to push that around here. And I always like to start these off by hand. It's just a lot easier. So all you're going to do is twist like this. So after you've got a couple twists in, you're going to grab your pliers. And this part is where it gets a little tricky. You want to find the hole you're going to put it in. So I'm going to put it right here. And you got to kind of gauge with your pliers where that hole is going to be in relation to the wire. So right about there. And then once you've got that tightened, it's simply just pulling it, and it'll do the work for you. And just give it one of those. That just kind of keeps it tighter up here. And then you're going to take this wire and stick it through here. And pull this through. And that's tight. And now, I'm going to bring this up here. So because of the way this bolt is positioned, we'll say, I'm going to have to twist this one the opposite direction. So the wire doesn't want to jump up top here. So I'm going to do the same thing up here. I'm going to find a spot where I want it to go through. Pull it right here. Now, since I'm spinning the other direction, some pliers reverse, but these aren't reversible, so I'm just going to do it by hand. You just turn it the other way. Let's get it right there. find our hole up here, bring that through. And pull it tight. Now at the end here, we're going to do what's called a pigtail. That's essentially, I'm cut some of this excess off here. So I forgot to mention, you also have cutters in here to cut the excess wire off. So at the end of your safety, you're going to do what's called a pigtail, where you're basically twisting it more. And then, let's get a couple more twists here. And you're cutting off the excess here. And then the actual pigtail itself is you're taking this wire and you're bending it. And you're just tucking it away there. Now, one reason for that is it's just an extra safety to keep the wire from coming undone, but also for the next guy who has to go in there, he's not poking his hands and cutting himself. Believe me, you don't want to cut yourself on this stuff. It's pretty gnarly stuff. It's really sharp and it'll make you bleed. So as you can see, the way I have this set up here, if this bolt wants to loosen, it's going to pull this one tight, and this one's more or less a middleman for this one. If this one wants to loosen, it's going to pull this wire and pull this one tight. So that's just a very basic setup for safetying. There's a lot more complex. That's about as basic as it gets. It gets pretty intense, like I said before, in a lot of tight spaces. But it's a crucial element to what we do as a technician, because without it, there could be catastrophic consequences. Bolts could come out, engines could fall off. It's a real safety. We take safety very seriously, and we do our best to make sure that you guys don't run into problems when you're flying. And I'm still happy to say that aviation is the safest way to travel in the world currently. So I guess we're doing our jobs pretty well. So next time you're on an airplane, just think about, if you ever get nervous, just think about all the safety precautions that are in effect, and one of them, and one of the most important, is safety wiring. So I hope you all learned something. If you have any questions, just respond on the discussion post. Thank you. Have a good day.